Hello and welcome to a League review of Eldrazi Broodscale Combo in Modern. So since we played this 5-0 League off camera, I wanted to do a review of the games and talk about some of the Broodscale strategies. This is basically the list that Masuda wrote about and adapt some of the new Broodscale strategies like Walking Ballista and additional Springleaf Drums. So if you're not familiar with the combo, I have a lot of videos that you can find up here with maybe some more detailed explanations of the deck, but we'll quickly go over the combo just so you have the gist of it. And you guys will see in the video just how easy and efficient getting the combo is, and you can win as early as turn 3. So to start, if you have Basking Broodscale in play and Blade of the Bloodchief equipped to it, as long as you get a dying trigger, which if you adapt, you get an Eldrazi spawn, which you can sack to start the combo. So that's one way to start the combo, sacking an Eldrazi spawn. Another way to do that is why Walking Ballista is so good, because you can cast it for 0 and that counts as a dying trigger. This also acts as a win con once you have infinite mana with Basking Broodscale. So once you have Blade on Broodscale, you make infinite mana. And what can you do with that infinite mana? You can cast a huge Walking Ballista. You can cast Glaring Fleshraker, which once you have infinite ETBs, you can ping your opponent to death. And then finally, if you have infinite mana, you have Kozilek's Command, which lets you scry your entire deck, find any one of these win cons, and just win from there. In addition to all that, we're trying one Evolution Witness. So this is similar to Basking Broodscale, where once it gets a +1/+1 counter, you can get something from your graveyard back to your hand. So if you have a Blade attached to it and Broodscale, you can get anything back from the graveyard infinitely. For the sideboard, we have a little bit of everything. We have Dismembers for removal, we have Summers for blue decks, Nature's Claims for problematic artifacts and enchantments like Pithing Needle or Stony Silence, 3 Soulless Jailers for combo decks, graveyard decks, Defense Grid for control decks, and Spellbomb for graveyard decks. So that is just a quick overview of Eldrazi Broodscale Combo in Modern. I want to remind you guys that we are part of the creator program now, so we'll have lots of play points to give away to our subs. And if you're interested in becoming a YouTube channel member, you'll get access to cool perks, like loyalty badges, cool emotes, and early access to videos like this one. So if you want to see more content like this and you want to win some play points, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and let's get in the gameplay. Alright, so this is match 1 against Through the Breach Eldrazi. This hand is all lands, but we have a Kozilek's Command. I don't think we keep, I'm not sure if we keep this or not. Opponent mulligans, we keep this hand. Why do we keep this hand? It's kind of loose. There's really not much going on. I think we keep based off of Kozilek's Command, but you could easily throw this back. They reveal Devour, so we know it's an Eldrazi mirror at least. Yeah, this is an interesting keep, looking back. I think because we have the Saga, we plan on using it to get the Blade, and maybe because we're in the blind, we can go for like a construct plan. Maybe that's the thought process. So we see Carplusion Forests, so we assume that they're on Through the Breach, and they just go Temple Go. We find Rumble, so we're going to play our green source and Rumble here. We find Broodscale, which is nice. We put Glaring Fleshraker in the yard, a One Ring in the yard. It was a really good Rumble. So now, right now, we have the combo. Just need to find Blade with Urza Saga. Opponent goes Temple, pass. So we're assuming that they have Kozilek's Command. We draw another land, which isn't good. We're going to play Saga. And then we just pass because we assume that they have Kozilek's Command, so we're not going to expose Broodscale to it. And they cast Kozilek's Command, scry draw, make spawn. Then they play the One Ring, which we don't care about. End of turn, we Kozilek's Command, make spawn, we find the Blade, so we know we win. So we just cast Broodscale here, cast Blade, activate Blade a bunch, and they concede. They don't even see the Ballista, but I guess it's good enough. But we definitely have the win, turn 4, which is nice. All right, in this hand, we definitely do keep. We have Kozilek's Command, we have a lot of dig, we have Nature's Claim for their ramp, and they just lead off on Ugin's Lab, pass. And we find a Blade too, so we're almost there. We just cast Blade immediately. We cast Blade instead of like Forest Stirrings because we don't know exactly what we need, and I'd rather wait to see if we draw one of the combo pieces so that way we don't double up. They just play Forest Go. We draw Saga, which is nice. So we play Saga here. We should have played Forest. That was a mistake. We were intending to Rumble, but we accidentally played Saga, so unfortunately we will pass here. I'm not sure if we Kozilek's Command end of turn for 1, but we definitely should have played Forest Rumble. They played Micro Spawn. They get a Temple. We might be holding Kozilek's Command for a payoff. We do have the Ballista, but we might want to trigger the Blade without having to adapt it on Broodscale. And then we draw the Broodscale. Very fortunate. So now we're just going to pass. We don't want to expose it to anything. We can end of turn Kozilek's Command and then just kind of win from there. So Ballista kicks a Micro Spawn. We float the mana, cast Kozilek's Command, make 2 spawn, and now we have the win. So we float mana here. We get a Springleaf Drum just because we have the Ballista already. You could have also gotten another Blade just to make both of these infinitely huge and win that way. But they could have a Kozilek's Command also, so it's a little awkward. So we're going to cast Broodscale. We're going to equip. And then we already have the spawn token, so we can just start sacking. So we do this infinitely. We're going to make 1,000,000 mana. They ask if we have the Ballista. We do. We just want to play it out. Like, we could cast the Ballista and then pump it just to show them, but this just takes a little bit. So we pump this all the way up to 40, so that way we can just play this for 20. We show them the Ballista and they concede. They say, GG's, big fan of your stuff, which is always nice to hear. 2 turn 4 wins, which is pretty sweet. All right, so this is match 2 against Merfolk, and this is like a solid hand. We have double Eldrazi Temple, double Kozilek's Command. We have Rumble for Dig, Ancient Stirrings for Dig. Fantastic hand. So we're just gonna play Temple, pass the turn. I'm gonna see Island, pass. We're gonna play Temple, and we're just gonna pass the turn, hold this up. So they get Mutavault, pass, and then end of turn we cast Kozilek's Command. We could have played K Command X equals 1 to play around Hexcatcher. I did consider it, just because they could do what they did, which is flash and Hexcatcher and then counter it. So essentially it's like a counter spell. The other side is if they have it, it's nice to get it out of their hand regardless. So it's something to consider. So they Hexcatcher, counter K Command, and we have another one too, so it's not the biggest deal. So now we have just a lot of dig. We're gonna play out our wastes and just start digging. We find Ballista, we take that, and then we just pass the turn. So they're stuck on 2 lands. They just pass right back, and we draw Broodscale. So looking pretty good for us. We play the Beseiju out, make our land drop. We Stirrings, we're looking for Blade. We find a lot of good things. So we know we're up against Merfolk. We're gonna take Fleshraker there because it's part of the combo. Because they have a lot of counterspells, it's good to kind of take the fair cards too. So Fleshraker is just annoying by itself. So they have to deal with it. And it's hard for them to counter creatures, especially if they don't have anything with, like, to flare with their own creatures. So we play Broodscale out. And we're not afraid to play this out just because they don't have any creatures to flare. And they're all creature spells, so Hexcatcher can't get them. So we play that out, pass, trigger Fleshraker, and see they had another Hexcatcher. So it's good to just play out the creatures here and not try to Rumble or K Command. So now all we're missing is the Blade. They shock in Springs, and they play Harbinger. So we don't care about this. We already have Fleshraker in play. We have 2 spawns for colorless mana, and we have Ballista that can just ping these down. So we make a land drop. We're just gonna play Ballista X equals 2. We're not going to do X equals 3 just because I want to conserve these colorless sources. And it's going to trigger Fleshraker anyway. So we play that. We get to ping Hexcatcher. We do that. And now we actually get in with both of these. So we offer the trade here. And we do this too because we know that they're probably afraid to trade to unlock our mana. So they just take it. And then we pass the turn. So here's where I think I make a mistake. I consider pumping Walking Ballista and just pinging Harbinger before this comes into play, because this gives it ward 1 and it makes it really awkward to kill. So you see, like, I start to pay for it and then I reconsider. I guess my thought process there was I'd rather conserve just the mana and we're kind of winning the race anyway. I'm not sure what the right play is, if we should have just pinged that just to unlock our mana, but it would get rid of the spawns and Ballista. We draw Stirrings. This is not a good help. And I guess my other consideration is we already have Kozilek's Command to get rid of it if we really want to. So we just pump the Ballista, and then we do nothing. So I think we could have made some better plays there. If we had pinged this prior, we would have had green mana unlocked, then we could have done a lot more things. We also could have just Kozilek's Command this, but we didn't want to play into like Flare or Denial or something. So we pass. They play Master of Pearl. It's kind of slipping away now, all because we didn't kill the Harbinger. So they get him for 4, and they play another Lord. So it's just like, holy crap. We find the Blade. So amazing top deck. We have the win. So look at what they do here. We play the Blade. Oh, you know what? It's not this game. This game, they don't have any interaction. So now we just Broodscale combo and win. The next game is kind of where they falter. All right, this is like another good starting hand. We have Saga for Blade. We have some Dig. We have some payoffs. So easy keep here. And they go turn 1 Aether Vial. I forgot to mention sideboards in the first match, but in this match, we brought in some Veil of Summers just because they do have a good amount of counters. So we draw the 1 ring. We actually boarded out 2 Stirrings and 2 1 rings just because they're kind of clunky, but we do end up drawing 1. And then we just Stirrings here. We find Broodscale, but we decide to take Forest. I think you could argue taking Broodscale here, but we take the Forest to make our land drops and to play around Harbinger. But maybe that's playing too scared. So we take that. They just tick up Vial and don't make a land drop, so that's good for us. We find another Stirrings. So here we get Saga going, trying to find Blade as soon as possible. We Rumble here. We do find the Blade. So that's an easy take. And then we just pass. So if we had taken the Broodscale before, we'd just win next turn. But that's assuming they don't have a counter and a bunch of other things. So they get him for 1 and just pass. We draw the second of our 2 1 rings, which again, these draws are not good. They're like pretty dead actually. We have everything we need right here. So we just need to make our land drops, find Broodscale, and we just pass. We make our land drop and we pass, planning to make constructs because we don't have the Broodscale. So playing stuff out, they could have Dismember, they could have other interaction. We don't want to expose anything yet. They take up Vial. Master of Pearl comes in. They get him for 4. They Violin Hexcatcher, which is annoying. So now they get him for 6. We're down to 11. Again, not looking pretty. They have a really good draw for 1 land and Aether Vial. We draw Evolution Witness, which again, doesn't do much in this situation. And we float the mana, and they actually consign the search, which I was not expecting that. So we're going to play out Fleshraker here. We're going to trigger... So we play Ancient Stirrings, and they sack Tide Shaper to counter it, which is kind of annoying, because we wanted to make our land drop. So now we miss our land drop. We just have to pass. They keep Vial on 2, and they find a land. So now they Spreading Seas our 1 land. They get in with Master of the Pearl. We chump block. We're trying to conserve life here, and a 1 drop is... So we find one of the best lands, Eldrazi Temple. We play that out. We play Blade to trigger Fleshraker. So I think, is this where they kind of mess up here? Yeah, so they sack Master, we pay for it, and then they sack Hexcatcher, and we just pay for it. So I think that was one of their mistakes. That was like a kind of a huge mistake. I don't know why they did that, because it's not countered. It was just like a 3-mana board wipe, trigger this, and just like an insane exchange there. So now we feel pretty good. We don't attack because they have Aether Vial up, and we're not going to lose our Fleshraker, just in case. They don't Vial anything in, though. They take it up to 3, and there's Harbinger. So we have our force. We're not too afraid of this yet. And then we draw Broodscale. So now we're feeling pretty good. We have the win. Cast Broodscale, trigger that. We go to equip, and they dismember. So they dismember Broodscale. We don't get the win this turn. Still good value for us. They lose 4 life. We get to make a spawn. We get some removal out of their hand. All right, they draw their 3rd land. So now they can start double spelling. They Spreading Seas our other green source, which is annoying. So now we just have all islands. They play a 2nd Aether Vial, which you love to see. And they have no attacks either. So fortunately, we draw another forest. Play that out. We play Walking Ballista, X equals 2, so we could always ping down Harbinger. We could have also played the ring there as another consideration, but we're at 11, kind of a medium life total. Yeah, I'm not sure if like we should have played the ring there, or Ballista's fine too. So their vials. So they draw another Spreading Seas on the forest. So again, no more forests. We don't really care that they're doing this because they're not affecting the board. So they're ruining our mana, but we still have a good board state. I think that's why we played the Ballista, just to kind of keep the pressure on. We draw Temple, which still gets shut off by Harbinger. We equip Blade. Oh, so that's why we played Ballista. That I remember now. Because you can equip Blade, and now we're just gonna ping it. So this is where we mess up. Now we cast the One Ring, trigger Fleshraker. This is all fine. We're just kind of trying to bait out something here. Okay, so this is where we mess up. We skip through blocks. So we should have pumped this and then just shot them. So if we just pump this, put it to 6 counters, and then just ping them for lethal, we just win. So we do that now, just like after the fact. It's kind of whatever. But now we just cast the Kozilek's command, X equals 1, which will trigger Fleshraker, give us another spawn, and then we can win that way. So they activate Aether Vial in response. Another Harbinger, doesn't matter. The funny thing too is that we can't target ourselves because of the One Ring. So we end up just like having them make a spawn and then exiling something from their graveyard. But in response to that, we just end up pinging them down. And with that on the stack, they just concede. So we could sack this. This would put us to 7 counters. Then we can just ping them for lethal. All right, so this is match 3. We're up against Belcher. And again, another solid 7. We have Broodscale, Blade combo right here. So we're going to keep this. Just need a payoff, but we have the One Ring for dig. We don't know what we're up against, but we're just going to slam this turn 1. There's no reason to wait. We see the Belcher land, so we know we just have to be faster. And in this matchup, you just want to play everything as fast as possible, because if they do have to counter it, you know they're going to be exiling spells and their hand's going to be way worse. So we draw Stirrings. That's whatever. So we're going to play Broodscale out. Again, playing out everything as fast as possible. We're going to use our mana. And this is just a turn 3 win. If they have nothing to block, they shock that in, and then they just lose. We play a land, we adapt, we equip, pump this to lethal. We also have K command, we have the One Ring. We can win so many ways just on turn 3 here. Kind of feels like the hammer matchup where they just have the hammer and just swing in for lethal. So we play this just to bait whatever, and then we just swing in for lethal. So nice turn 3 there. All right, game 2 against Belcher, and this is a fantastic hand. For our sideboard, we took out all the rings, we brought in some Veil of Summers, and this is an easy keep. We already have the combo. We can just like pop off with protection, which is really nice. And they just go tap land, go. Again, we're going to be slamming our combo pieces as fast as possible to get under any counters. We play Blade. They bolt the land in, and they play Thundertrap Trainer. They're going to reveal Commandeer, which we don't care about because we already played Blade. We draw another Stirrings. So instead of playing Broodscale, we play Rumble. I think trying to look for a win con, I'm not sure. Maybe trying to bait out something, but we don't really find anything. We find another blade, but we take the land. So I think that's why we played out the rumble, because we were missing our land drop and we wanted to hit that, I guess. And it gets a spawn, so that way it makes it easier to combo. They bolt in a land, they do nothing. Could have also been trying to bait for a counterspell. We draw Temple. So Temple is nice because we can play and adapt if we need to, but we can just play this and equip. So the only downside here is we don't have any payoffs. So we're going to pump this a little bit, but we don't have any payoffs here, unfortunately. And because we don't have any payoffs, like this could have been a turn 3 win if we had anything, but now they end of turn were for Lotus Bloom, which, you know, they have it, and then we lose. So we could have had a turn 3 win if we had any payoffs from all these cards. If we had one more turn, if we were on the play, something like that, but they got us. So game 3 of the Belcher matchup. Again, another fantastic hand. We were very lucky this league to have these like pretty amazing 7s. So no complaints here. We have the combo all lined up. So we're just gonna slam Blade. Blade actually gets countered by Disrupting Shoal, pitching, Unable to Scream. So we're really happy about that, mostly because we already have a Saga, and that can go get Blade also. So they pitch Unable to Scream, which would ruin Broodscale combo. You can put that on Broodscale or Fleshraker. They just play a tap land. We draw Temple, but we're just gonna probably slam Saga into Broodscale. Yeah, just get this on the battlefield. If they want to counter it, they're gonna have to pitch spells for it. They just play another tap land. And we draw a Blade, which is hilarious. The only downside is we can't just play Blade, equip, and adapt. So we're just going to play out Fleshraker here, which I believe gets countered. Yeah, so they Disrupting Shoal, pitching Sink into Stupor. So we had enough mana to play Blade, adapt, and equip, but then we don't have a spawn to kind of get the combo going. So we opt to play Fleshraker instead, which again, you want to play out all your spells because now they're just pitching. They pitched Sink into Stupor, which is a land drop also. So now we get to play Drum into Blade. Now if they don't play any creatures, we just have the combo and we can win, but they do play Philagi. They find Orderly Plaza, trying to make their land drops. We have Urza's Saga going. So now we just have the win here, or next turn at least. So now we're going to pump this. We'll skip through this a little bit. So we're going to adapt here, and we're going to make this infinitely huge. And because we have 2 blades, we can just make infinitely huge, infinite Scions. So we're going to pump this to like 1 million or like 20, and then we're going to move 1 blade over to a spawn, pump that one, move a blade over to a spawn, pump that one, and just kind of get a nice little army going before we pass the turn. That way there's nothing that can go wrong, right? We're also up like 3 minutes on clock, so I don't mind taking the time to do this, especially because it's already game 3. If we were low on time, I'd maybe consider only doing like 2, but this is fine. All right, so we pump up all our creatures to at least 20 attack. This one's randomly 16, but then we just pass the turn. We have 4 lethal creatures on board, and they just pass the turn. We draw Veil of Summer, just extra protection, which is nice. Get them for lethal, they say GG, and we get there. All right, so this is match 4 against Rakdos Burn. In the blind, we do keep this hand. Part of the combo, we have Dig, we have Kozilek's Command, Pithing Needle can kind of cheese people out, and we have Ballista, which can be part of the combo also. So we're going to keep this. If we didn't have Rumble, I'd consider maybe not keeping it just because we're really relying on it with this. But we just go Forest into Blade. Can get down everything as fast as possible for the most part. They go Blood Crypt into Goblin Guide, so it's a pretty good thing to see because you know there's not going to be any counter spells, but they will have burn, so they will have removal. We draw another land, which is a Forest. We're going to do that. We're going to play Forest. We're going to Rumble, and then of course we find Broodscale. So easy take, and we just pass the turn. So now if they tap out, they lose, right? They play Iridescent Vine Lasher, which we're happy to see because that does nothing against us. They do make a land drop, so they could have some type of Lightning Bolt spell. They attack with Goblin Guide, find us a land, and they pass the turn. So we could be a little weary here. If they have a Lightning Bolt, it's going to be awkward. But we do cast Broodscale. We do go for it. Turn 3, why not? We do have a lot of other payoffs, so it's okay if they bolt this. We have just a lot more going on. We attach. We start the combo going, and they concede. So they had nothing, which is like crazy because they have 5 cards in hand, but they do have a lot of opponent-only spells, so that could be a thing. All right, game 2 against Burn. Again, another solid 7. We have the combo all lined up. Double Fleshraker, Saga, our green source, just easy keep. And they go Vine Lasher, love to see it, and we even draw a second Broodscale. So this is just going to be wasting a Bloodchief. We want to get down everything as fast as possible, and we definitely want to slam this down just because if they're going to waste a burn spell on it. But instead we decide to rumble. So we rumble because it creates a spawn and it makes comboing next turn even easier. We also cast Rumble 2 to make our land drop. Seems to be something we've been doing a lot, which is fine. They attack for 1, they bolt wave us, and they bump at the night us. So we're at 4 life, they're all tapped out, and we have the combo. So we cast Broodscale, equip Blade, make a bunch of mana, cast Fleshraker, and that's the combo. Another turn 3, double turn 3, which is like sick. And then finally for the trophy match, we are up against Belcher again. So this game is a little weird. This hand is amazing. It is only a 1-lander, but because we have stirrings, we decide to keep. It's hard to throw this back either on the play or the draw. On the play is nice because you get to cast this without any counter spells. On the draw, you get 2 looks at a land. So we're going to start with stirrings just to make sure we hit our second land drop. And we find Saga, which is nice, but I think we take Grove here. Yeah, take Grove for the colorless source. We don't need Saga necessarily because we already have 2 blades. They just play tap land, go. We also take Grove so that way our Saga doesn't just go away, I think. We draw another Broodscale. So this is just going to be, I think, double... Oh, okay. So we play Basking Broodscale. We could have also played double Blade, but I think that's fine to play Broodscale to make sure use of our mana. They have Lotus Boom on suspend. I forgot to mention that. So they play a land, play Philology. What they find? They find Flare of the Nile. So this is pretty cool. We're going to play out... So we play out 1 blade, assuming it's going to get flared, which it does. And then we play out the second blade, which is just like a big FU to your opponent, right? So Lotus Bloom still in suspend. Yeah, they play a tap land. They play another Philology. They choose Pact and Negation. So Pact's not very good here. They don't have the combo out and they can't pay for it even if they use it. We draw another land, which is fantastic. So now we get to equip here. So now we just win. We can win with Fleshraker, Kozilek's Command, or Ballista. We do make a mistake here because we adapt, we make infinite mana. What we should have done, which we don't do, is just bait out. I think we bait out... Okay, we bait out Pact with Fleshraker. So that's fine. So now what we should have done is Kozilek's Command, destroy this, and just get in for lethal. But what we do is just make this big and attack so that way they can block it. So I think we put this to 20. And again, it doesn't matter. Like, we could kill this, and even if they counter it, we have Ballista as the win too. So we're just going to go through this. We're just going to let this play. We just keep pumping this. Assume, like, in our head, we're going to cast Kozilek's Command. But then we just, like, decide not to because we want to get in. But it's also smart to use K-Command here too, because if they have a flare, they're forced to use it, and then this gets in for free. So there's a lot of ways you can do it. Our opponent disconnected. I'm not sure. I don't think they rage quit. I'm pretty sure they disconnected because they tried to come back once. And regardless, we had the win any which way. So kind of a weird way to get a 5-0, but we obviously won game 1, so that's cool. All right, so that was Eldrazi Broodscale Combo in Modern. It feels awesome to get the 5-0 with this deck. It is a newer deck, but it is very powerful. Just like you guys saw, we got a lot of turn 3, turn 4 wins. It was interesting to play with this iteration of the deck, adding Walking Ballista, getting rid of Delighted Halfling. But moving forward, I really like this iteration. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to cast Evolution Witness. It's a decent one of, but it could be a 3rd Springleaf Drum. As for the sideboard, I think it's pretty clean, having a bunch of 3-ofs just to cover the top meta matchups. If there's anything in the main or the side that you think should be changed, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. And that'll do it for me. Thanks so much for watching this 5-0 video. I want to remind you guys that we are part of the content creator program, so we'll have lots of play points to give away to our subs. And if you're interested in becoming a YouTube channel member, you get access to cool perks, like loyalty badges, cool emotes, and early access to videos like this. So if you want to see more content like this and you want to win some play points, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Peace.